So hi everyone, we are very glad you're here. This is actually hard times to everyone. We hope you are safe at home with your families. This series of webinars that we're doing is thanks to a great collaboration with the Ministry of Education, companies and other organizations. And this is the way we at the MTC, Mashab Educational Training Center, Office Center, are trying to do our best to support you, to help you from here, from Israel. On this occasion, we have the Janice from the Ministry of Education. Thank you very much, Janice. The floor is yours, so we hear you.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm so pleased you've joined me here today. My name is Janice Morash. I am a school counselor in the emergency unit of the Ministry of Education in Israel. The unit assists schools dealing with crisis, stress, and helps prevent suicide. Now we will start. Okay, it's all about finding the calm in the chaos. Israel has a lot of experience with crisis. The principles we have learned in the past assist us to cope with emergencies that we have and which now we have adopted to deal with a new situation, the coronavirus. Are we going to talk about today, first of all, education, emergency team, teachers' guidelines, which are conversation with pupils, distance learning, building resilience, parents' guidelines, and the day after. Emergency team controls order in chaos. The first step that must be taken in order to deal with crisis in schools is to appoint an emergency team. This is a crucial step in coping most effectually with the situation. The team's role is to manage, organize the organization, educational and therapeutic activity. The aim of the emergency team. Emergency preparedness means having a system in place to prepare, respond, and recover from the crisis. Effective planning will facilitate a rapid, well-coordinated, and expedient response when an emergency does occur. Investment of time and resources, developing a school emergency plan, deciding what actions will be taken in an emergency, and to predetermining who will respond in an emergency. How do we develop an emergency team? The emergency team should include key school personnel, such as a principal, who has to manage the team, teachers that are suitable, that have leadership qualities, school psychologist, counselor, and a bilingual person. For instance, in Israel, we have lots of parents that don't speak the language, for instance, Russians, and we have somebody on the staff that can mediate to them the messages and what is happening. Each person should have a clear, defined role in an emergency. The team usually is comprised of 8 to 10 members, depending on the size of the school. The emergency team will become the backbone of the school. This team really manages the whole crisis. Emergency, the coronavirus team, which we now also have at the school, the team must meet regularly to communicate and get a better picture of what is happening. Of course, now we can't meet face to face, so the meeting can take place on Zoom, Skype, WhatsApp. What are the aims of the meeting? Is getting a full picture of the situation, identifying the needs, deciding of the best way to communicate with students, parents, and staff. This is very important for the teachers, the school, to be in contact with parents and students, and of course, to see that they're in contact, the staff, with all the staff. Locating children and families with special needs, and contacting people and organizations that can provide aid. For instance, you might have to ask help from the welfare for certain families. And what is also, I want to emphasize, is preparing for present and future actions. We prepare as we go along for what we need, and also we start thinking of when we get back to the schools and what our actions will be in the future. Now we will go to the next. next subject that I would like to discuss are teachers' guidelines. What teachers can do, what is the aim? The teachers have to be in contact, should be in contact with the children and with the parents, and they have another task as building resilience with parents and children. So first of all, we will discuss conversations with pupils. These principles for conversation are good to adopt in any crisis or stress situation. First of all, don't be afraid to discuss the coronavirus. Not talking about something can actually make kids worry more. Look at the conversation as opportunity to convey the fact and set emotional tone. Your goal is to keep kids feel informed and get fact-based information that is likely more reassuring than whatever they are hearing from their friends or news, because they often hear lots of rumors. As we see now, lots of rumors are running on the internet or in the children's groups. It must be, the conversation must be developmentally appropriate. It must be suitable for the age of the kids. Reassuring. It's helpful to reassure the pupils that children actually seem to have milder symptoms. Focus on what we are doing to stay safe. An important way to reassure kids is to emphasize the safety precautions that we are taking. For example, wash your hands, keeping distance, isolation. This gives them some kind of anchor, and they know that they have something to rely on that they can do, which can help the situation. Let them know that lines of communication are going to be open between the school and them. Another thing that's important is to label emotions. Teach your pupils that all feelings are important and that labeling their feelings can help them make sense of what they're experiencing. Tell them it's okay to feel anxious, sad, scared. It's important for us as teachers and parents to also do modeling and to also express our feelings and giving legitimacy to any feeling. Building resilience. This is a very important part, is to identify, to help students identify their strengths, demonstrate coping skills. People should be taught to identify the strengths that help them cope in stressful situations. You can also remind them and ask them, how did they cope before when they had a difficult situation? And then say to them, look, before when you had something that was difficult for you, you can adopt this to cope now in the situation. Promote the bright side. Every experience has one. Optimism and resilience go hand in hand. Some kids may appear more naturally optimistic than others, but optimism can be learnt. If you have a mini pessimist on your hands, acknowledge the feelings that lead to pessimistic thinking and teach your pupils to reframe these thoughts to find the positive. We also say, let's make lemonade out of lemons. Message of hope. It's important to say to the kids that, and to ourselves, that it's temporary, the situation. It's not something permanent. It will pass and things will get better. Strengthen social connections. Now what's happening is we have a lot of isolation and kids can't meet their friends. They have to be at home. They can't meet their grandparents. But we're lucky that we've got technology, and through technology we can help friends and family and be in contact. Because children that are involved and active are at a much lower risk of experiencing anxiety. And it's important also solidarity. Exercise helps strengthen the brain and makes it more resilient to stress and adversity. For instance, children can exercise at home, or maybe if they've got a little garden, or they can go walk around in the neighborhood nearby the house. Resilience helps kids navigate the obstacles they encounter as they grow. It's not possible to avoid stress, but being resilient is one of the best ways to cope with it. We must pay attention to certain children. We're not seeing them now because they're not at the school. But if we're in contact with the parents, we can ask the parents questions and also tell the parents to let us know if there are any problems. And when we do, hopefully, get back to the school, we must also pay attention to children that are introverts, that don't express their feelings, that they're very quiet, children with special needs, children that have behavior problems, signs of distress. For instance, it's important for us to also tell the parents if they see the child, there's a loss of appetite, sleeping problems, any change in the normal behavior of the kid. In these cases, you can contact counselor, psychologists, social workers to receive personal help. It's important that the teachers, staff know who they can turn to in this case, and that parents know who they can turn to. Now we're going to discuss distant learning. Far is close. Now with the coronavirus, last week we started in Israel a distance learning, which is something that we have been practicing. Of course, when we started, there were lots of bugs with the site, but afterwards things improved, and the parents found that this was very important. It gave some kind of normality, and it gives a routine. So if you do have, if you possible in your country, if you can send children learning assignments, or to maintain, at least to be in contact with them through the phone, this helps maintain the routine. Examples, I brought some examples of what we've been doing in Israel the last 2 weeks, giving children opportunity to write a coronavirus diary, where they can write how they feel and how they cope. An interview with a family member of how she or he is coping with the situation, and that's how they can also learn new ways of coping. Each pupil takes a picture of him or himself eating breakfast, can be on FaceTime, and here we can also discuss with them that we should be try and eat healthy foods and vegetables and fruit, and not only eat candies and soup. My special corner, pupils take pictures and write about their favorite corner at home. Class or school clips, which are very popular now in Israel. Teachers and pupils send pictures with a message that builds resilience. And you can also tell the pupils to write letters to elderly people to cheer them up, because they're really very isolated. Another thing that we've been doing is the teacher can send, this is in Hebrew, but I'll translate it, emoji and ask the kids every morning to send emoji how they feel. If they feel tired, if they feel calm, if they feel afraid, cross, sad. And this is a very nice way of communicating. This is if they can send a selfie also, as we said. Now I'm going to discuss tools that help children cope with stress. We have many tools, but I've chosen 3 or 4 tools, which I will explain. First of all, breathing exercises help kids be in control when they experience stress or frustration. This enables them to process the situation clearly. For instance, this is very easy to do and also cheap. Parents can buy the kids soap bubbles. We use this in Israel also during normal days. Even if a kid has a fight or an argument with a friend, this can help him. What you do is inhale regularly and exhale very slowly. When you exhale very slowly, you make the bubble as big as possible. And after this, by exhaling slowly, this makes the body be in control. And by doing this, after a few minutes, the child becomes in control of the situation. We use it a lot in Israel, and it works very well, and it's very simple. It's just to teach them to do it. You can even do this in a Zoom meeting with the kids. Another model is the basic PH model of coping and resilience. The basic PH model was developed by Dr. Muli Lahad, director of the Community Stress Prevention Center in Kiryat Shmona in Israel. The model suggests that people possess 6 potential characteristics or dimensions that are at the core of the individual's coping style. Coping efforts are believed to be effective as long as children can sustain their basic routine, creating a sense of adult support and normalcy to the extent possible. It is critical in helping children deal with psychological stress. Now I'll explain to you the coping skills, because these 6 coping skills are very good to work with kids, even to work with the staff. It can help them cope. For instance, we can ask the kids, how are you coping now with the coronavirus? Some kids will say, how are you coping to be at home and you can't go out? So some have belief. Beliefs could be a religious belief where helps students cope, and can be religious or can be a philosophical belief. Also to be sensitive to belief. Teachers must be sensitive. Then there's affect, which is feelings and emotions expressed through being expressed. This is important also to give the kids a certain model, and we can also express ourselves. We know that there are kids that find it easier to express themselves, and there are others that this is not effective. Social. There are kids that say what helps them is having contact with friends, being with a family. And there is imagination. Imagination is also expressed thought and feeling creatively. There's some people that help them through art, music, writing, essays. And cognitive, normally this is a coping style that older children have, where they are very logical and they solve problems. It's something that you can also work with kids. Physiological, for instance, that's what helps me often cope, is doing sport. For instance, I like doing walking, and this often helps. So it's important to discuss this with the kids, and each kid can write what helps him, and then when they see what helps their friends, they can also learn and adopt other coping styles. In psychological first aid, this is the trauma expert Moshe Falchi model stresses the importance of cognitive communication to shift immediate attention from emotions to action. When dealing with somebody in psychological trauma, most people instinctively hold calm and soothe the person. Now, this is completely different from what we have learned before. We often say, oh, somebody's got stress, sit down, we hug them. No. He suggests the 6 C's model, which is cognitive, communication, challenge, control, commitment, continuity. And he talks about activating a person, bringing a person from being passive to be active. Might mean assigning a task, asking a person to take a walk, or giving them decisions to make. And we know that it takes 90 seconds from a person being passive to active, where he can help himself and others. When somebody in stress, we can say to a teacher, for instance, please count now how many kids in the class are in contact with you. We can say to a kid, please go and do something now, go and wash your hands, help your mother to tidy the kitchen. Give things that are very, that activate and not passive. This is completely different from what we have studied before, and it works. Okay, another tool, which is from the resilience unit. They have a whole lot of tools. I chose one tool which they've taken now and adapted it to the coronavirus. It's how can we deal better with uncertainty. We have a lot of uncertainty today. And how can we think to ourselves, how can we help ourselves and how can we help the kids? So what we can do is place an exclamation mark only on what we know for certain. For instance, this can boost our feelings of control. For example, the coronavirus is contagious, very contagious. We know this, we put an exclamation mark. Washing our hands well can help prevent the virus. It's also something that we know is a fact. What we can do, certain things that we think are a fact, we must put a question mark at the end. For instance, for things that are obstructive thoughts, for instance, things will never be the same again. We can say things will never be the same again and it's final. But we don't know this, and we must put a question mark. Things will never be the same again? Am I sure? Then there can be a thought that I say, I'm sure I'll get the virus. And then we can change also the wording in the sentence and put a question mark at the end. Am I sure I'll get the virus? I'm not sure, because maybe I'm a kid of 10 and we know that not many children get the virus. This is called balanced obstructive thoughts. And it's identifying the thought, as we said, I'm going to get the virus definitely, doubting the thought, am I going to get the virus? And precise wording of the sentence. It's not sure I'm going to get the virus. And then to choose an activity that suits you now. For instance, not to think of it, now I'll do things that will help me prevent. I'll go and wash my hands. I will see that everything is clean in the house. I will keep 2 meters from somebody that I meet. Now I'm going to the next subject that we're going to discuss are parent guidelines dealing with children's concern following the corona incident. I would suggest that this you publish to the parents so they have it written down, the guidelines. The task of the parents today is to mediate the situation to the children and to try and keep as much of the routine as possible. So what they must do, number 1, avoid conversations over the heads of the children, because the children hear them talking and they pick up pieces of information, and this can make it very stressful. Talk to the children openly about the situation, calmly, without unnecessary details. Limit news watching on both TV and social networks, and without rage prophecies. Here, often parents put the television on all day, and the children see things that they don't need to be exposed to. Maintain a routine as much as possible. To tell parents, make a certain hour when you have breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Certain time of the day to do school tasks. Certain time of day to play games. This is very important not only for children, but of course for adults also. Various activities and roles with meaning, especially if they're related to coping with the event. Reinforce a sense of control of the situation and feelings of confidence and hope. Strengthening social connections, which I discussed before. It's important that the family realize that the kids should be in contact with friends through internet, because we know now the spread of the coronavirus is at risk of increased separation and alienation due to the fear of infection. But we're lucky that we have got technology to keep us in contact. Distractions in the directions of acting, creating, watching a movie, cooking, cleaning, art, exercise can be very helpful. If the activity is done in the parent's company, it is much more joyful. Okay, parents are home and they're busy, but this is a time for them that they can have quality time with the kids. It's very important. Human jokes are great also for us. This helps us cope better with the situation. Okay, like I said before, attention to children who is more difficult is very important, and to tell the parents who they can turn to in case they need counseling and help, who they can contact, who are the people. It's important that they have the numbers written down. Okay, now we are going to discuss the day after. The day after will eventually come, although it seems to us far away, but we will get to it. And when we get back, I want to go back to the emergency team, where I discuss that part of their task is to help prepare for the day after. The recovery. The recovery process may be short-term or long-term, depending on the circumstances of the event. Time and resources need to be allocated accordingly. It's important for us to see what we need to do to help with the situation when we get back. Training should be provided to staff to assist with the emotional impact of the event. Here we have a lot of experience in Israel, and we've seen before after crisis that if we get back to school with the staff and kids together and we don't give a place for the staff beforehand to express how they feel and how they coped, they will not be available emotionally to receive the kids. So I would suggest, I really say this is an important point, that before we get back to the school is to meet with the staff and to do with them some of the tools that I discussed here can also be used with the staff. And another important point is returning to the normal school day facilitates the healing process for students and staff. It is very important to get back to normality as quick as possible. That's what keeps us going. Okay, I would like to end with, tell me a little about the moments of fear. It's much easier to be afraid together. And I would like to leave with an optimistic note. Be strong now, because things will get better. It might be stormy now, but it can't rain forever. Now I'm ready for questions. I'll be pleased to answer any questions.
Janice?
Okay.
Thank you very much. Maybe you can, okay, unshare the screen. Now is your time.
Okay. Okay, here we are. I will chat.
Yes.
Okay.
So you can raise your hand, or you can just write a question in the chat. Down in the part below, you will see that there is a chat, so you can ask question if you want in the chat. If not, raise your hand and I will unmute you. I see here Sudhir is raising the hand, so maybe we can unmute him and see if he wants to ask a question. Sudhir?
Yeah, thank you so much for giving us opportunity to participate. In India, the situation becomes so panic because all the schools, colleges, markets, metro, trains, flights, everything is closed. So most of the children, they are at home, and we are really worried how to give them some meaningful activities, because nobody knows, even after 31st of March also we are not very sure whether a school will reopen or not. So we really wanted to engage children, one side children, on some meaningful activities during this shutdown. On the other side, how we can build the capacities of local masses on day-to-day development which is happening around the world.
Okay, that's what I said. What I discussed now is when the schools are closed, that's why it's important. Are you a teacher? What is your...
For a non-governmental organization, but we are largely supporting more than 4,500 schools across the country.
Okay, so what is important is to have a team that deals with it, that exactly controls the situation, and important that the schools will be in contact, sending the kids, I don't know what your internet situation is, giving them also to do tasks, to do assignments, but also to be in contact. It's very important that each teacher will be in contact with her classroom. And then she can do these activities that I suggested before and try and give these tools.
Yeah, because one side we need to build. Yeah, because we are largely working with the government school teachers. So one side we are having a challenge to build the capacities of government school teacher on using this web media tools. On the other side, content also. So content, up to some extent, we are having some content, and we can do some research of getting online content either from Meshab or some other agencies. But how to reach to our teacher, that is a bit challenge. So now we already made 3-4 WhatsApp group of different state teacher, and we are trying to reach through government portal also, because Government of India is having a very good portal called e-Pathshala. So through e-Pathshala also we are trying to disseminate the key information.
Mhm. Can you just say the question? What question? Can you define the question?
The question is how to engage teachers largely in the country when nobody knows how to, get information. One side, how to, give information to different state teachers. On the other side, what are the tools they can use for, chatting and getting information? All these things are important. So one side, content. On the other side, we need to disseminate the key platform to reach them. Are you getting me?
I couldn't hear the end of the sentence. Sorry, I couldn't hear the end.
Yeah, one side we are talking about the content. On the other side, we wanted to know more about the e platforms where they can make their groups and they can, get back to us.
Oh, the teachers.
Yeah.
Yes, well, that you'll have to make a network to see how you contact the teachers through you can do it through WhatsApp, where you give them the information, the letters. We gave out to the Ministry of Education. They sent letters to the teachers and to parents and to and that's the guidelines to parents and to teachers. So things were very clear. They got mail exactly of what to do.
Yeah, because e-platforms, still many people are confused. Like if you are going on Zoom, you cannot make connection with many people at a time without any fee. So you need to pay some fee, then only you will be able to reach the larger platform. So I think still we are, searching some good platform, e-platform, where we can reach to many state teacher at a time.
Okay, thank you. There's some more questions.
Thank you very much, Sudhir.
Thank you.
Do we have another question?
Are there people that have got other? So there's some other questions that jumped up here.
Yeah, you have a few in the chat, Janice, if you want to address any of those.
Like I'm looking at the chat to see the other questions. I don't see them now.
The last two. There are two questions here.
Can you read the questions? What's written there? I can't see the questions. I prefer if it's written down, because it was hard for me to hear exactly what.
So one of the participants.
Oh, here some questions are. You're advising to keep in contact with my school. We're teaching online, but it's not the same. How do you control information overload to our students? It's right. It's not the same exactly, but online is the only way we can. And what's important is try to really. That's what I say. The emergency team is very important, because they decide how the contact will be done and how things will be controlled. Okay. Almost everything closed. Oh, here's a message from Canada. Thank you very much for this great opportunity. It's very interesting. Here's Canada. We're also in quarantine. Almost everything closed and restricted department from home. My question is how parents can support schools without stressing so much, because many of them also work at home. So what I suggested is you send this to the parents. And what I do see is also in Israel, a lot of parents that work at home, and if they have too many assignments that the kids have to do, it puts pressure on them. So you've got to think exactly how many assignments to send the kids, so it won't be too much pressure on the parents. Okay.
So any other questions? Someone would like to say anything? You can raise your hand.
There's some other questions that I haven't maybe done. Hold on. Yeah. Okay.
So before we end, Denise,
Thanks.
before we end, Judith, you would like to say something? No? Okay.
I want to say thank you very much for joining me. I hope this has helped you. And if there are any future questions, you can maybe write in the internet, and I'll try and answer. I wish you a lot of luck and a lot of health And I know we'll get through this. We'll get through this together. And thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Jenny. So before we end, thank you to those who came and participate. Thank you for your questions and your attention. Next week, we're going to have 2 or 3 additional webinars in English for those who speak English. This week, we have another 2 in Spanish. If you would like to be part of these webinars, please enter the links, subscribe. And if you have any questions, you can also write to us, to the METC, Mashab Educational Training Center. And these webinars will be recorded and will be uploaded to our YouTube channel and the Facebook. So if you would like to re-see them, you're more than welcome. Thank you very much, and keep in touch. Stay safe, stay healthy, and with your family at home. Bye, everyone.